Find these spots and you'll be on your way to getting way more elderberries next season. They're called lenticels, and it's one of the more distinctive features of wild elderberries that is present even in the dead of winter. You may find a lot more of these trees than expected, as elderberry is one of the most abundant wild fruits in my area and other parts of the globe. But there are other young trees and shrubs with lenticels, so I'm going to show you a few more details to distinguish elderberry from them, plus where to actually go looking if you are after the fruit like me. I have spent many hours scouting and documenting elderberry in the wild, so I'm very excited to share all that I've learned with you. Let's take a closer look at these lenticels that have brought us here in the first place. Elderberry bark is predominantly gray, sometimes with a hint of a red-purple hue. The lenticels will tend to appear more of a brown color against the gray of the bark, and if you run your fingers over the exterior, you should be able to feel them as they are physically raised. As I mentioned before, other trees with lenticels can look similar, so the following details are also needed, starting with the arrangement. Elderberry has an opposite leaf arrangement, and though the leaves aren't present in the winter, both the buds and the branches follow this pattern as well, so they will come off at the same point, occurring in groups of two. Even at the ends of twigs, you'll see them with twos without a singular prominent bud at the end. This means that they don't have a true terminal bud. Directly below the buds will be the leaf scarf from where last season's leaf broke off, and within it you'll find 5 to 7 smaller dots called bundle scars. By the way, if you don't know any of these terms, I have a free Intro to Winter Tree ID class that I've linked in the description that will teach you everything that you need to know to get started identifying wild fruit trees in the wintertime. To me, one of elderberry's coolest features is the texture of the pith inside of the twigs. If I grab the youngest branches and cut a cross section, we can see a spongy beige to white material, and it's really easy to break apart. Actually, that's how it's possible to make those primitive flutes. The growth habit is shrubby, so you'll typically find it with multiple stems from a central base. The stems rarely get beyond 3 inches in diameter, and shrubs grow to about 6 to 12 feet tall. All of those details largely apply to members of the elderberry genus, Sambucus. Alright, so what might we mistake elderberry for? The first that I can imagine is a young ash tree, which also has an opposite arrangement and a spongy pith. However, ash won't have multiple branches at the base, and further, it does have a true terminal bud at the end, something that elderberry lacks. Oh, before we continue, let me know what other wild fruit trees you'd like me to do a winter profile for. And hit the like button if you're enjoying the video. Then we have rusty blackhaw, which is a species of viburnum. It also has lenticels and an opposite arrangement. However, its buds are fuzzy and chocolate brown, and, like ash, it tends to grow from a prominent single stem that quickly develops a blocky outer bark. Plus, it has true terminal buds. Sumac is another potential lookalike, as its growth habit is very similar to elderberry and its bark contains lenticels. The easiest way to tell the two apart is the arrangement, as the leaves, branches, and buds of sumac are all alternating. You may have heard that water hemlock is also a lookalike to elderberry. However, in the wintertime, they're quite different, as water hemlock dies back completely. Water hemlock stems are hollow, unlike elderberry's sponge-filled ones. Water hemlock lacks lenticels entirely and instead has vertical stripes. With rising and falling water levels in its typical habitat, most of these remnant stems will be completely gone by the end of winter. We'll wait for the spring to worry about distinguishing them by their flowers. Now you know how to identify and distinguish elderberry, but where should you be looking for it? While elderberry grows all over the place, even in a relatively closed canopy forest, we want to be scouting for it in areas where it will actually fruit. And for that, it needs sunlight. The edges of fields are a great place to start, but the elderberry trees that I find producing the most abundant, largest, juiciest berries are all near water where the trees can have wet feet. So if you want to learn more about any of the details that we discussed in this video, plus tips on finding other wild fruit trees in the wintertime like elderberry, then click the video that's probably already popped up next to me to get started.